What's up everyone and welcome to the club. In today's video we're creating a portrait illustration of Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog. For today's lesson we'll need some paper and a pencil. I'm going to start today's sketch off with this 0.7mm mechanical pencil with a 2B graphite stick. Now I want to start by breaking down the basic shape and proportions before we get into the details. So let's start by sketching a line coming down the center of our page. Starting from the very top in the middle. Just going to work our way down towards the bottom using these short lines. And I don't want to go too dark because I'll eventually erase this out. Now let's move back to the center of our page and draw another line going across from left to right. Now we'll be using these two lines to help us create a large circle in the center of our page to define the size of the head. So from that center point, let's move up to the top, mark off the top of our circle right about here. Let's measure this distance down towards the bottom and do the same thing. And then we'll repeat that across this horizontal line, measuring the distance from the center towards the left and then the right. Now to create our circle, all we need to do is connect the center point of each mark with a curve. So let's start with the top left. And the circle doesn't have to be perfect. We're just using this as a guide. We're going to go back and just smooth this out as best we can. Let's add another line coming down the side of our circle. So starting from the left, coming down. And I'll extend it up towards the top. And then do the same thing on the right. Now I'm going to add one more line going across the bottom of our circle. Now with our circle and guidelines in place, I want to start blocking the facial features. Let's start by adding a gap in between the eyes. So from that center line, I'm just going to move over towards the left, right about here. Sketch this all the way coming down. Now I'm going to take that same distance towards the right, come all the way down towards the bottom. Now I want to block out the shape of the eyes, starting from the top of the center. Step down, I'm just going to angle the eye, going up and then out towards that center line. Line this up over on the right. Now I want to round out the edge of the eye. So I'm going to step back in, curve this around, and in towards that bottom line. Now I'm going to tuck the iris and pupil underneath the eyelid. So halfway along this line, I'm just going to draw an oval, coming around towards the bottom. I just want to pull that up towards the inside of the eye. And then we want to line that up on the right, coming down towards the same height, and then back up. Now I'm just going to trace this oval along the inside for the pupil. Now from these 2 points, we're going to curve the nose, going up and then down. From the ends, curve the nose back down and in towards that center point. Let's move down, just going to mark off the mouth. Right about here, draw a straight line going across. Now just up above the nose, we're going to add a curve for the edge of the muzzle. From here, curve this down towards the bottom. Now it's going to bend that up towards the side. Let's round this out and come down. Let's go back and add some shape to the mouth. From this point, we're going to step over, curve this down. Now I want to raise this up a little bit higher on the right side to give him a bit of a smirk. Add a bracket on the right. Now I want to angle the head so it gets wider along the top. So from this point, I'm just going to angle the head coming down and in to right about there. Now let's follow this line, go all the way up and then out towards the top of our page. Now I'm just going to round out the chin, starting on this point, curve this down, come in underneath the mouth, in towards the center, and then back up. Let's add those points of fur along the outside of the cheek. From this point, come in and then down towards the side of the head. Let's add another point, going across and down, and then pull that back in. Let's add another one, coming down, and then just blend that in towards the bottom of the chin. Now we're going to go all the way back up to the top and add in the ears. Let's leave a gap in the center. Let's go over towards the left side. I'm just going to mark this off right about here. Take that same distance over on the right. Now from this point, we're just going to angle this up and then out towards the tip of the ear to right about there. And then from here, we're going to come straight down. And I want to bend that in towards the side of the head. Now there's 3 sections of hair in the center pulled over towards the left. So from this point, I'm going to step over, and it's up and across, and then taper that back down. Let's go back to the center of the head. We're just going to bend this around on top of the ear, towards the side, and then bend that back in. Let's add one more, coming down towards the left eye, and then back up. Now that we have the rough sketch of the head, we're going to go back and clean this up by erasing some of these guidelines, so we can get a better look at our proportions. Now that we've cleaned up our drawing, I'm going to go back and use this rough sketch as a guide to help us add some more detail and refine the shapes. Let's start with the eyelid. I just want to curl this up on the inside. I'm just going to lightly sketch this in. Just working our way around the eye, and giving it a slight bend going towards the outside. Work our way around the outside of the eye. And then bending the inside of the eyes. Now along the top left side of each iris, we're going to sketch out a small circle for highlight, just overlapping the pupil. And we want to make sure that we line these up. Trace the pupil in behind that highlight. I'm just going to go back and just roughly shade that in. I can go back and just modify the size a little bit. Just going to lightly shade in the nose. Now with the cheeks along the fur, just want to add a little bit more texture along the outside. Just adding a few more little points. By using this rough sketch as a guide, so we're just going to follow those main points of hair and work our way around. Now on the top of the head, I'm just going to add a little bit more fur going around the base of the hair. Also layering on some more texture inside and across the bottom. Now with the ears, I want to give it a slight bend. We're going to take away that straight line, but we're also going to add a little bit of fur texture across the edge. And I also want to round out the outside, so just bending this out past that straight line. Again, adding that fur texture. And then rounding out the head coming in. I'm also going to add that guide back in to trace out the inside of the ears. So lightly trace this in. I'm going to do one final cleanup before we add some more contrast and shading. So I'm going to switch to a thicker pencil. This is my 0.9 millimeter. I'm just going to add a bit more contrast and some shading as we go. So going back over our original sketch, we can always modify the shape as well. If things feel a little bit off, you can go back and just modify the shape and details. So we got the brow. Let's work our way around the outside. And I want to go a little bit heavier along the top, sort of pushing this into a bit of shadow and weight. And just tapering down towards the bottom. And also on the inside, going a little bit heavier along the top. Now with the nose, I'm going to go a little bit darker across the bottom, just pushing this into shadow, and I'm going to gradually fade that up towards the top to catch a little bit of light, and we're positioning the light above the head, and it'll be coming down, so the shadows will sit along the bottom edge. Let's go back to the cheeks. I'm just going to feather out some fur texture going out. Right down here, we're just going to bend the fur coming back in. So just blending in towards the head. I'm also going to enhance some of that texture along the inside. Now I'm going to move to the side edge of my 2mm pencil and start adding some shadows and tones. So I'm going to start by darkening up the inside of the ears. So I'm going to start along the base. I'm just going to darken this up. And we're also adding some texture of fur at the same time across the bottom. And from here it's going to work our way up towards the top. I just want to soften up that shadow along the outside. I'm just going to enhance some of that shadow across the bottom of the hair. Now this is going to cast a little bit of shadow across the head. Just going to darken that up and then blend that down. Add a little bit of shadow to the forehead and in between the brow. Now we're going to go back and just enhance that texture inside those shadow areas. So just pulling the fur from the base of the ear, going up and then out. Now we're going to start layering some of that texture inside the shadow areas and then blending that out as you come into the highlights. We want to make sure that we work with the flow of the fur, so just bending this around the brow. Now as we get near the end, we're just going to tighten up our shadows and add a little bit more detail, and always be sure to sign our artwork. And that's pretty much it. There's a sketch illustration of Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, please make sure you subscribe because I'm posting new lessons every single day. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.